Okay, so this guy used to be the future president of the United States. Enter Congressman Paul Ryan, who was once Speaker of the House, and he was also the 2012 Republican nominee for Vice President. He was once a big rising figure in the Republican Party, but now looking at it today, he's definitely washed up, not popular with really anyone, and I'm just wondering what the hell ruined this guy. Paul Ryan was definitely an early bloomer when it came to politics, where he started his career in 1996 being a writer for Jack Kemp, who was the Republican nominee for vice president, and then he worked for U.S. Senator Sam Brownback, and then at 28 years old, he got elected to Congress in Wisconsin. And he was in Congress for a decade with some moderate popularity, but nothing too national until 2008 when Barack Obama became president, and that was really Paul Ryan's moment. Because in 2008, the Republican Party was just in a bad spot. They had no real leader. George W. Bush left office with only about a 14% approval rating, and then at the same time, they lost the House and Senate in 2006 in a landslide, and then John McCain, who was this tired old 71-year-old nominee, he got absolutely destroyed by Barack Obama. Republicans thought about the last time they got their clocks clean, that was 1992, where due to Ross Perot entering the race and getting 19% of the vote, George Bush, the incumbent president, only got 38% and lost re-election to Bill Clinton. Because that, Republicans wanted to rebrand themselves away from George Bush, and because that, they made Newt Gingrich their leader, where he actually led the Contract with America project, which was the Republican Party offering a bunch of bold ideas, and it worked, where in 1994, the Republicans won the House and the Senate for the first time in 40 years. That's what led to the rise of Paul Ryan. He's this experienced congressman who's been there for a decade already, but he's still a decade younger than Barack Obama, being only 38 years old. So he was really the face to a lot of the conservative ideals that started the Tea Party movement, like the Path to Prosperity, where he really was a policy wonk on fiscal policy. But the problem is, as you advance your career, you ultimately do get and become more establishment. So Paul Ryan, trying to advance his career and raise his rank in Congress, he was dealing with the Tea Party movement, which he helped create, which started to see him as the establishment. Paul Ryan did some stuff that wasn't popular, like joining the Bowell-Simpson Committee, which was a super committee in Congress of 18 members, including Ryan, that was supposed to cut spending, but they didn't actually end up doing it. And then also Paul Ryan, who's the head of the Budget Committee, tried to create a super committee in the House and Senate to make it so that they were going to try and cut $1.2 trillion. And it was led by Fred Upton, who was a congressman from Michigan and actually the uncle to Kate Upton. And it wasn't that successful, but it made Paul Ryan look like the man. What ruined this guy? I think it comes down to three things, and the first being that he didn't run for president himself in 2012 and instead just opted to be Mitt Romney's lackey. And that's because Mitt Romney was never really that popular in the Republican Party. A lot of people wanted him to be defeated, but it was just there was no real good opponent against him. And also at the same time, looking at how Rick Santorum, a defeated senator from Pennsylvania who was a Christian fundamentalist, came in second, it really shows how vulnerable Romney was. His next mistake was becoming Speaker of the House, which was a job he didn't originally want, but the House kind of pressured him to do it because they needed someone to replace John Boehner, and Paul Ryan ended up taking the role, but yeah, at that point he became the establishment and picked basically the most unpopular position in Washington to take. Third and final one, he just couldn't make up his mind on Donald Trump. He clearly hated the guy, but at the same time was saying, oh, you have to support him, and it just didn't feel genuine, and no one really from either side liked it either way. But with that, Charles Pearl, Red Blue News, subscribe to learn something.